How strong and impressive do you think your resume really is? When you apply to a job and submit your resume, how confident are you that it's not going to get weeded out by all of the HR tooling and AI that's reading all these resumes? Wouldn't it be really handy if you had your own little AI tool that would actually grade your resume based on job description? I've written a nice little tool to do just that. Let's dive in. Before we get started, wanted to let everyone know we do have a winner of my contest, the best idea video contest, and that is Roblars9252. Thank you for the idea, and I'll be sending that gift card out to you. For today's demo, we're going to actually get back to the basics. We're not going to use LangChain. We're not going to use AutoGen. I know I do a lot of videos with those. Those tools are great, but they hide a lot of stuff. They do a lot of stuff for you. We're going to get back to the basics on this one, and just going to be using straight up OpenAI APIs. You're going to need an account here, so come over here to personal. You need to get your API key. You can view it right here, copy your key, and then you'll bring it over to your code. And before you get started, I use Conda. That's a really good way to segregate your different environments. So here's the command, Conda create, name, a new project, and Python 3.10. Once you make that new environment, you got to call the command source, activate, and the environment name that you gave it. Now we need to do a couple pip installs. So let's pip install open AI, pip install python.env, and then pip install ice cream for debugging. Now come over here and create a .env. So the .env is going to actually have your API key in it. So go ahead and create OpenAI API key and put in your key. And then that key is going to get read into your main project. Here are the packages we're going to be using. OpenAI, import OS, ice cream IC for debugging, .env, and argparse. First thing we need to do here is do a load. So a .env.load.env. That's going to load in your environment variable that you have set here, your OpenAI API key. Then we're going to load that OpenAI.API key. We're going to use os.environ.get to pull that key from the environment and put it into API key. Next, let's jump to main. Because we're using argparse, we're going to have a nice little message here whenever someone runs the script. They can get a little help. So the first thing we're going to do here is description text. This is a script, accepts a resume and job description, and will determine if the resume is a good fit for the job. Next, I always like to give it an example. So here's an example of running the script, Python main, and you're going to pass it the job description.txt and a resume.txt. Next, we're going to set up the argparse parser, description text, example text, and the raw description helper format. Next, we're going to set two arguments that are actually required. The first, we're going to call it job description file, and here's the help on it, a file that contains the job description. The next one is going to be the resume file, because the script obviously needs both things. So here is add argument, resume file, a file that contains the resume of the candidate. We're going to then pull those into the args variable. Then we've got to do two things. Next, we have to actually load the resume file. So we do that with open args.resume file, read in the file. So resume data goes here. And the same thing with loading the job description. So args.jobDescription file, load that into job data, file.read. And then we have just one function to dive into next. It is called engage_AI, which we are passing the job data and the resume data to this function. So this function here starts with a system message to the AI, kind of setting the stage. The system message is, you are an expert in analyzing resumes against job postings. You are able to explain why a candidate's resume does or does not meet expectations for a job. Next, let's set up the user message. So given a candidate's resume and a new job posting, would you hire the candidate for the job? Please give the candidate a rating of 1 highest out of 10 lowest based on resume and job description match. And we're going to feed into the user message the actual candidate resume. So we're saying candidate resume, here's the resume data, and then here is the job posting, job data. Let's go ahead and look at those two things. So this is just my resume here, just copy and paste. And then here is the job posting that I found on some website. It's the strategic cloud developer job. Next, let's look at the messages, the roles. So the first one, role of system, content, and then that system message. The next message is the role of user and content, and then that message that we just set up. There are different modes here, and I put that here in the comments. So there are 3 different roles: system, user, assistant. System sets the behavior of the assistant. The user provides requests or comments for the assistant to respond to, and then the assistant stores previous assistant responses. And here's the actual call to ChatGPT. So openai.chatcompletion.create. Here is the model. We're going to use 3.5 because it's way cheaper. Max tokens 2048. And then the messages is what we've already built here. Once this is called, the answer comes back here in this dictionary, and then we're going to print that to the screen. Let's go ahead and run the script. So Python main. And here's what I wanted to show you. You can see you get an error because it's saying, hey, the following are required: job description file and resume file. Just for fun, if you pass a -H, you get the really nice printout from argparse. There is our help message. This explains both the parameters, and here's the example of how to run it. Now let's go ahead and run it the right way, passing it the job posting and the resume. What I've done here is actually printed as a debug message the entire prompt. So calling OpenAI, and here's the entire prompt. And here's the answer that came back. So message, content. So based on the candidate's resume and the job posting, I'm going to give this candidate a 6 out of 10. So I am not a good fit for this particular job. What I love about this, though, is it actually pulls out, hey, the candidate has relevant experience in these areas. However, there are some areas where the candidate's experience may not directly match the job posting. In terms of education, he has this. Overall, the candidate has some relevant experience, but not good. What I want to point out here is that this is just the beginning. This is a very simple example. You can imagine here, you can change this prompt to be all kinds of things. You could change your resume and continue to keep crafting and changing and modifying your resume until you get a 10 out of 10. If I was going to apply to this job, I would want to craft my resume directly to that and have this AI help me craft it that way. Not making things up. I'm just crafting the resume and my personal experience to better fit the job, to better pass all the filtering that's going on in all these HR tooling. Another idea here too, you could use this on the reverse. What you could do is actually, if you had a bunch of resumes you're receiving as kind of like an employer and didn't have money for all these expensive HR tooling, you can actually just tool with this. You could pump all of your resumes into here and see, out of all the resumes you received, which candidate would actually give you perhaps a 10 out of 10. And maybe that allows you to weed out if you had hundreds of resumes to look through. If you enjoyed the video, I really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like. Leave me a comment. Happy to get back with you. Thank you and have a great day.